So I watched this movie when it first came out last year, and funny enough, I did make a review, but YouTube wasn't feeling it for real. And by wasn't feeling it, I mean they copyrighted it. And I did appeal the claim, but to no one's surprise, they declined it. So I did a little research, learned a few things, and here I am with a brand new review. Which is perfect because this masterpiece of a film re-released back into theaters. Oh, and you might be thinking, why make a new one? Why not just use the things that you learned to edit the old one? And to that I say, shut up, I did ask you. Cause like the great Shamik Moore once said, nah, I'ma do my own thing. In all seriousness though, I'm glad they decided to bring this movie back to theaters. I mean, what can I say? Them boys at DreamWorks made a hit. Now let's get to this review of the last DreamWorks movie made in-house. I mean, technically it is the last movie they made until Dogman comes out, but I digress. Okay, listen. This movie right here, this shit means something to me, man. This is undoubtedly one of DreamWorks' best movies. Dare I say, the best movie they've ever made? Yeah, recency biased, I get it. But look, listen, I genuinely think this movie competes with the likes of Kung Fu Pandas 1 and 2, the How to Train Your Dragon series, Keep Following Me, Shreks 1 and 2, and yes, even Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. For those of you who are unaware, The Wild Robot is actually an adaptation of the book series titled, well, The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. It follows a robot named Roz and her struggles on a remote island. Now you take that concept and you pair with Chris Sanders as a director and you're basically guaranteed a hit. Now for those of you who are unfamiliar with who Chris Sanders is, maybe you know some of the movies that he's directed. Like Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, The Croods, all of which are bangers in their own right. It's weird though, man, how DreamWorks can drop some bullshit and then right after drop some of the greatest fiction your eyes has ever witnessed. They've been doing it for a long time too, so much so that their brand at this point is known as consistently inconsistent. Anyway, as I said before, this film follows a robot, Roz 7134 to be exact. This one, not these, her. She lands on a deserted island with woodland animals and her programming compels her to seek and complete tasks. But since there's no humans around to give her said tasks, all she can do is try to help the animals on the island. To no avail. With no other option, she enters essentially a learning mode in an attempt to try to understand them. Can I just say real quick that the film taking time to show us the steps she actually took to cross that language barrier is such a small thing, but it added another level of depth to the world building. On that note, I saw mad people pointing out the fact that they thought that this film wouldn't have dialogue. And once they found out that it did in fact have dialogue, they became less interested. I guess I understand their perspective, kinda. I mean, it probably would make the movie feel a lot more unique and artsy, but I gotta say, the dialogue really works. As a matter of fact, I don't think the emotional cues would have hit nearly as hard without it, in my opinion anyway. Despite Roz gaining the ability to communicate with animals, she was still unable to acquire a proper task, which ultimately led her to attempting leaving the island. I don't know why she didn't try that in the first place, but I digress. Along the way, she accidentally destroys a goose nest. And wow, can you believe that? She missed one. What a coincidence. Shortly after that, a baby gosling hatched, whom she named
Bright Bill.
Eventually, she's given a task to raise and prepare him to migrate for the winter. I have to say, on paper, this story really isn't anything special. But that's on paper. The way this movie portrays Roz's character going from this standard robot who's infatuated on completing tasks into this person who feels and thinks and cares about the animals she's grown around is so inspiring. It's on full display with her voice too. Lupita does a fantastic job voicing Roz. There's this little detail that Lupita does with her voice that I just found to be incredible. That being, as the movie goes on, you can hear Roz sounding less and less of a robot to a more organic tone, and by the end of the movie, she sounds like a full-blown person. That little detail added so much to Roz's characterization, and Lupita hit that shit out the ballpark. I'm so glad that she actually feels like the voice of the character instead of being a celebrity voicing a popular character. It doesn't even stop there. The way Roz interacts with the world that she's in is so fun and quirky. She has so many unique gadgets and gizmos, and man, the way she contorts her limbs is so god, it's everything. She feels so distinct from any other robot depicted in fiction, and I have to say, it is quite refreshing. Aside from Roz's journey, I have to say I also enjoy Fink's. He of course starts off as this sly fox, but he starts to become more than that during his time with Roz. It's not crazy to say that Roz's journey also became his journey. He invested just as much as she did, but while her specific journey was that of a robot learning the ways of motherhood, his was seeking the one thing that he wanted most, something to eat. Don't let his small frame fool you, that boy can eat. Anyway, the thing Fink craved the most was a loving family. There's this scene where Pedro Pascal loses himself in a character as you're hit with this tearjerker. I'd be lying if I say it didn't get me at least a little. What really throws me off is the fact that I've seen people say that Fink was a mixed bag for them and kinda felt unnecessary. Personally, I enjoyed everything he had to offer. Like, how can you not fuck with Fink? Now, a character that was a mixed bag for me? Bright Bill. I do like the journey surrounding him, but his character fell flat for me, man. I mean, I like him in the beginning, like how he adapts Roz's quirks from her speech patterns to her robotic movement. Like I think it made him really unique. The film eventually drops this and he becomes sort of bland. Aside from that, I like that his existence served a purpose for other, better characters. Emphasis on that better. Emphasis on that better. Speaking of other characters, I gotta say, man, this film did a great job with the background characters, especially with the sheer number of them that they had to juggle around. Everyone feels so natural. There isn't a single character in this film that annoyed me in any way. Do you understand how crazy that is? I genuinely found all of them to be interesting and likable in their own ways. It is not all sunshine and rainbows though. I do have gripes. Fuck! Starting with the fact that this movie suffers from a pacing issue. There were times where it was speeding by. I blinked once and this movie was damn near over. Ultimately, however, I didn't find it to be a huge issue. We also didn't really get to see much of the antagonist, which sucks because the antagonist herself, Mantra, she was so cold, so menacing, so
Morally neutral.
but she contrasted with Roz so well. I feel as if she could have been iconic if she was a looming threat across the entire film. We only got introduced to her in an already crowded third act, which kind of diminished what she could have been. Dog, I really wanted to see more of her, and it feels like a missed opportunity to not expand. Look, listen, she felt like a threat, regardless of her screen time, or lack thereof. She doesn't necessarily feel misplaced, and her character existing does make sense. Kinda. To me, her existence makes it hard to believe that robots and humans are actually coexisting. She was giving off a familiar robot supremacy type of vibe, and I don't know, man, thinking long term, it comes off as kind of weird, but within the context of the film, it's okay, I guess. The last problem I have is the conflict between Roz and Bright Bill. I see lots of media doing it too, and it irritates me every time. Why didn't she just provide context to what happened with Bright Bill's mother? She basically said, yeah, I killed her, and that was it. Leaving out details made the conflict between the two feel a little forced. There's no guarantee that Bright Bill would have reacted differently than he did, but at least it would have put my mind at ease. Jeez, man. Regardless of any of that, this film has so many strengths, and I haven't even mentioned the biggest one yet. The animation. Say it with me. The animation. It would be an understatement to say that the art and animation in this film is just good. I mean, just look at these shots. Look. This is without a doubt the best looking film that DreamWorks has ever made. People will argue Puss in Boots, but for me, that painterly look is going to do it every single time. While this film looks so good, the one thing that I think it truly perfected is the lighting. Dog, the lighting elevates scenes that are already incredible. There's these scenes at the end of the movie where the forest is on fire and it plays with these pinkish red hues, and it's just fucking jaw-dropping, man. It made you feel the dangers of what was actually happening. I'm not even done. I haven't even talked about the music. Oh my god, the music. The music scores were hitting so hard. It really helped to create these emotional scenes that are scattered all throughout the film. Dog, there's this one track, I Could Use a Boost. That shit was doing something to me that shouldn't be said on this platform. I had to add it to my library immediately. My main library. And I'm picky about what goes into my main library, but it was that good. I was being stimulated by this song in so many ways, it felt like I was indulging in intercourse. Okay, maybe that was a bit of an overstatement, but it helped to make the experience that much better than what it already was. Forget an animated movie of the year, The Wild Robot is my 2024 movie of the year. With that being said, I'm rating this film a 9 out of 10. I encourage everyone to go see it. Do not rob yourselves of truly a great experience.